again, please raise your hand and wait for a mic to be in front of you and state your name and outlet before you ask your question. First row on your left.
Coach Brady Ploffer, LA Times. Candace obviously only played 11 minutes tonight. Can you talk about what was going on there? Was she hurt? Was it just she wasn't playing well? Or what was the decision behind those limited minutes?
Yeah, I mean, just trying to do, as much as I could in the moment to, to help the team. Like we talked before the game, and it wasn't an injury or any specific this is why I'm not going to play Candace, but just trying to find energy, find spark, find physicality and things that we just were continuing to try to search for throughout the course of the game. We've had an issue sustaining energy over 40 minutes against this team in this series. So also just trying to get fresh bodies in so we can continue to bang and rebound and run the floor and communicate defensively. And so it wasn't, in any way to single her out. Raquana played 17 minutes, TRP played 12 minutes. I know it's Candace Parker, and we're going to try to make it about her 11 minutes, but it was just about trying to do something different that I thought would try and help us win.
Third row on your left.
How you doing, Coach? I'm over here, Thomas of HMB Media. Can you just talk about the physicality of the Suns? Did it affect your team at all through the series, and do you feel as though kind of the rebounding effort from night to night was a key in the series?
I think that, even looking at the stats tonight, Courtney Williams has 13 rebounds. So, physicality is not always pushing, elbowing, brute physicality. How hard you cut is physicality. How forceful you communicate on defense, that's how you also send a message, to your opponent. And so, you have to give Connecticut a lot of credit for, I think being able to sustain, a level of play. There were moments in each game where, we looked like we could compete and win, but they were just better over the course of 40 minutes each night, and that's why they're advancing.
Coach Nikki K with Spectrum. Obviously you felt these emotions before as a player, but after this season, all you've gone through with these women and in the position you've been in, are you feeling any different emotions at this point that you might have expected in the beginning?
At the moment, not that I can feel. I think it, any team I've ever been a part of, when the season ends and you're not the champion, it feels very similar, as though, you wish you could have done more. You wish you could have, as a player, obviously, been better, made more shots, done more things. I think those thoughts are similar now as a coach, that, I wish I could have done more to help our team. I think they tried to do the things that we asked them to do as much as possible, and that was challenging for for this group who has success in their history, and here we come asking them to play the game differently on both ends of the floor at times, but the main thing that I feel that's very similar is just a sense of determination and motivation to come back better. Whether you win or lose, when you move forward into the next season, you have to be better than you were the year before. And that's what I'm going to try to hang my hat on as a coach as well, is that however much time and effort needs to be put in for me to be better, that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to try and make sure that all of our players are able to do so as well.
Coach, LT was right in front of PG Sports. In the WNBA, a lot of times, the Minnesotas and back then the Sparks teams, they had a chance to allow these players to play together for 5 years. What you had to do with this year with I think 7 different players in the first year, are you guys thinking about allowing this group just to stay together? Because we saw a lot of good things from this team.
Yeah.
And my question is, are you guys going to allow them just to stay together and don't try to add more pieces, but allow them to grow? Because I know it doesn't take It takes time to build a team.
Yeah.
So are you guys thinking about, hey, let's let this team stay together and play?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. That's something that Penny and I will discuss, in the coming weeks and try and figure out, how we need to get better, where we need to get better. Obviously we have a core group of players that have won championships, been together for, 5 years, as far as since Chelsea's been in, Chelsea, Candace, Nneka, Elena Beard, they've all played together for multiple years. So, there's a core group of veterans there, that I think are great quality pieces. And I think continuing to find how do we put a team out on the floor around those 3 and 4 players, including Candace as well, that, that gives us a chance to compete against the best teams in this league. Obviously, Connecticut is moving on. And, the type of team they have, the speed in the backcourt, the length, the style of play, etc. Those are things we need to figure out how to address, whether it's keeping this group together or not. But your point is well taken. There's a reason why, I do think Washington and Connecticut, the 2 teams that have been together the longest, consistency from their coaches, their terminology, their style of play. You can't shortcut those things just by putting a roster together. So we'll have to try to make some decisions and, like I said, just try to come back better.
Coach Alvin Gonzalez with ESPN over here. My question was kind of related to that, but on Connecticut's side, that's a starting group that has logged a lot of minutes together. Was their chemistry something that was obvious to you in this series? And if so, how did you see that kind of manifest itself? How did you get advantage out of that?
Yeah, no, I think their group is extremely connected. But I think what we have to take from it is they're connected because of what's happened to them in the past, right? Like they've been bounced in the first round and, over the last couple of years. So there was a hunger and a determination and a passion to get beyond that. But that didn't just start today or in this series. It started with, I'm sure, how hard they worked in the off season, how hard they pushed themselves in practice every day, the way they approached everything that they did. They were determined to get to a place where they could play for a championship. That's how it happens. So that's what we have to take from this, is that we have to take what feels frustrating and disappointing and embarrassing at the moment and use it as the fuel to come back better. When we lost to the Celtics in 2008 as a player, that's the fuel that drove us to championships in 2009 and 2010. So this is just feedback and information, and it's how you use it and take that, that ultimately decides what your future looks like. And Connecticut used their information and feedback from the last couple of years in a positive way, and that's why they're going to the WNBA Finals.
Coach Louis Bravo from Fantasy Sports Cave. Obviously the season ended a little sooner than you expected it, but what are the positives you take from this season? Maybe you can carry over to next.
That I think in this league you have to be really nimble and have an ability to adjust and adapt to anything that comes up. You start training camp, players are still in Europe, coming in at different times. You have national team commitments. Next year you'll have the Olympics. So there's always something flying at you that makes it hard actually to build connection, chemistry, camaraderie, trust, faith in one another, because you don't spend as much time together as you think, going into a season. And when you have new players and a new coaching staff, then that makes it even more challenging. So I think the positives are that we've been able to, I think, establish a base level foundation of players understanding, what I expect, the way we try to play offensively and defensively, and the things that we're capable of doing, as a group. And then we build from here. We can't, and I think the way it ended confirms that we can't live in the past. We can't hang our hats on what the Sparks used to do. We have to create a new way of being the best in this league, and that should motivate all of us.
On your right.
Right here. Amanda's girl, LA Sentinel. The Sparks did a very good job, very good home team, but it seems like, those skills and qualities that they had at home kind of disappeared away.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you feel like, what do you take from that? What do you feel like kind of left them, and how can you coach a team moving forward to kind of perform better, keep those qualities that they did so well at home, and that you really
Yeah, I mean, I think hopefully for us, more time together will help us in that area. In the WNBA on the road, resources are very limited. You know, your strength and conditioning coach isn't there, your player development coach isn't there. The days in between the games, it takes you 8 hours to get somewhere that only takes 2 hours to fly to because you have to be at the airport 2 hours before. Then when you get in, you got to stand there and wait for the bags to come down for an hour. Then you got an hour bus ride to it. So to fly 2 hours takes 9 hours out of your day. So you can't really practice in between a game on Tuesday and Thursday. So a week-long road trip is really just 2 games and then you fly home. And so some of those things, right, when you have limited time to really get on the court together, if you play Tuesday night, you play Thursday night, you can't practice too hard on Wednesday because you need freshness for Thursday. And to be able to still hold a level of consistency and greatness on the road, there has to be a chemistry and a connection and a togetherness that is hard to have when it's new. And I thought our players did the best job they could at times. You know, our numbers were small at times. At times were almost better because you couldn't look to the left or right for any support. Like you had to do it yourself. And as our roster came back and was whole and full, you know, and I take responsibility for we didn't quite find a way with all 12 players in terms of how to play, who's playing, the minutes, the style of play, etc. Those are things I have to be better at doing.
Good time for one more on your left.
Derek, Miriam with the LA Daily News. For all the turbulence you guys went through this year, NECA was so steady, including tonight. And with everything else she has got going on with the being president and all, can you just kind of speak to that and why is she so special?
Yeah, I mean, you know, in order to build, you know, I think a really special, you know, organization in sports, you know, there have to be, you know, like these individual people and players that, because of the way they're wired and kind of who they are, they help you establish a culture and a foundation and a way of doing things that then allows you to hold everybody else accountable to a certain level. And I think in a lot of ways, you know, that's what NECA has been for us, is that person that every day her approach is the same. She comes in to work hard, she comes early, she'll stay late. And even though she's a verbal leader at times, she leads by example in terms of how hard she plays and how much she puts into it. So the success that the team and organization had in the past wouldn't be what it is without her. And, you know, I think that she's one of those players that, you know, any hopes we have to, you know, be successful in the future, you know, she's the type of player that does the things we want to have on this team. And, you know, hopefully we can move forward together in the right way and, you know, give her a chance to take some championship success again real soon in her career.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, everybody, especially all the locals, and, you know, seeing you guys all year. Appreciate the support of our team and everything, and we'll be back next year. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. The Sparks locker room is now closed.